Rebirth Summit 2025, Stories of Unyielding Courage. I'm Katherine Sea of Today Life Coaching because today matters and you matter. I bring both professional experience, 25 years as a CPA, and deep spiritual grounding to the women I serve. I support those ready to heal, to reset, and to lead with purpose. And if you're feeling stirred, just scan that QR code to receive my free gift for you, Rebirth from Burnout. Well, meeting Lima McLean, founder of Rebirth Summit, was truly divine because we share a compelling mission to elevate healing, truth, and transformation. So I was honored to be selected as an interviewer for this international summit featuring over 100 inspiring stories of transformation and rebirth. And it's my joy and honor to host this Rebirth Summit conversation with our lovely, impeccable guest, Dr. Linda P. Jones. Dr. Linda is a transformational leader, ordained minister, and prolific author of over a dozen life-changing books. She's a sought-after speaker, a life coach, and founder of Women of Worth Ministries and the Soul Survive H.E.R.S coaching program. She equips kingdom-minded women to walk in healing, confidence, and purpose. Her authority is forged by personal experience, surviving a painful childhood with an alcoholic father and an abusive mother, followed by an emotionally and physically abusive marriage. Through years of rejection and low self-worth, she found healing in God's love and reclaimed her true identity. And today, through her signature H.E.R.S, H.E.R.S framework, healing, equipping, restoration, and serving, Dr. Linda empowers women globally to rise from trauma and step boldly into their divine calling. And now, joyfully remarried and a proud mother, she continues to mentor and disciple women with one core truth at the heart of her message. This is, you are uniquely loved by God. That's so good. And Dr. Linda has turned her life experiences into a powerful mission to help others. Her amazing story of rebirth will surely move you, inspire you, and empower you. So settle in, take a breath. It's rebirth time. Welcome, Dr. Linda. Thank you for the sweet blessing of being on our show today.
Thank you. It's a joy and honor to be here. Thank you so much, Lima, for this wonderful opportunity.
Yes. Well, I'm really curious. So can we go back to the beginning? Like, would you be willing to tell us what your life was like before your transformation? Take us all the way back there. Help us to feel what you were feeling emotionally, mentally, and spiritually.
Yeah. Well, I lived in a very dangerous neighborhood. Gunshots, neighbors fighting, cussing, children, it was chaotic outside my home. But unfortunately, that chaos was inside of my home. My alcoholic father was physically abusive to my mother. The violence inside was like every week he'd come home drunk. And with that, he would lock her in a room with him and they would be fighting. And I would be on the outside screaming and panicking and begging him to stop. It was horrific. Then I became the dumping ground for my mother's pain because in her mind, I was his favorite. And I put that in quotation marks. And so what she couldn't tell him, she told me. So I became the place where she dumped all her anger and her frustration. Her words cut deeply into my soul, especially when she said to me once, I wish I knew what kind of child you were going to be when you were being born. I would have closed my legs and broken your neck. So it was very, was stunning. And so, and this is I'm between the ages of maybe what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It was awful. I lived with overwhelm and fear and panic attacks, low self-esteem. It's horrific. In order to escape my father's abuse, she relocated to the U.S. and didn't tell us. She never told us. She just parceled us off into different homes. I had twin brothers, and it left me with a deep sense of abandonment and rejection and lack of belonging. I didn't know where I belong, who I belong to. And eventually she put me with my godmother, and that was great for a while. And then my godmother didn't want me, and she sent me to my grandfather, and my grandfather, that was okay. And my grandfather didn't want me, and he sent me to my aunt. And then my aunt didn't want me, and she sent me to the next door neighbor to live. So it was this kind of like being moved from home to home. And I was a totally lost and very angry young woman. Eventually, we relocated to Canada, and then she came and she brought us up to Canada, and then she left us again. Left me at 17 years old with twin brothers to raise in a country I knew nothing of. I was just a young girl. Um, in the meantime, one of her old boyfriends will come and visit, and he used that opportunity to sexually exploit me.
Mm.
When she did return to Canada from the States, had to beg her to come because I couldn't cope anymore. Um, the verbal fights were off the charts. We fought like cats and dogs. I was terribly angry all the time. It was awful. And in order to get rid of the home life, I eventually married at 19 to a narcissistic husband. So it was like leaving the frying pan and moving into the fire. He was a churchgoer. He was sweet to everyone. And I eventually divorced him, and years later remarried to a great man and relocated to his homeland. In the meantime, the battles with my mother continued. Now it was via phone, manipulation, guilt, gaslighting, condemnation, shame, blame was the order of the day. It was so, I never knew what I was going to get on the phone. And I was so afraid of her because so much guilt I carried. Well, maybe if I had stayed and maybe, and I had twin brothers and they were always in trouble. So I was the one that was the great white hope. I was going to bring the answers. I was going to solve a problem. I was going to fix everything for her, whereas my life itself was falling apart. And there are times on the phone, it was like Jekyll and Hyde. I didn't know who I was going to meet when she would call. And my life was just totally in disarray. I was terribly, terribly angry and insecure, low self-esteem, the whole 9 yards and go with it.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Linda, I feel that pain. No child should be meant to carry such a heavy burden. Being multiple rejections, abandonment, shoved around, abused, exploited. You carried so much on your delicate
It was
shoulders.
it was deep, and I remarried to a tremendous man and moved to his country and where I live right now. And I
And so
think that was one of the best things that happened.
I love that. I love that.
That
But
was one thing that best thing. But in the process of our marriage, I ended up having 4 miscarriages. So I moved into another layer of grief and sorrow and pain. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, there was that transformational process that you went through. What was the turning point for that? Was it after you said no more to your aunt and all the exploiters and the narcissists in your family, or was there a significant event?
There were several dramatic moments, but one that really stood out for me was the day I was having a conversation with my GP, and she was my friend, my general practitioner. And I don't know what she said, but I exploded like a volcano. And she looked at me and she went like that, "You need help. Something's wrong with you." And it was like if somebody threw a bucket of ice water right into my face. And I went like, the reality that I was imploding and exploding and others finally hit me. I was destroying myself. I was destroying my relationships. I was destroying my marriage with my anger. And just that simple thing. And I called the counselor the next day and I said, I need help. And
You,
and that's where the journey of transformation and healing layers and layers of pain started.
okay, wow. Well, thank you for that doctor who recognized that and had the courage to
Mhm.
say you need help and that you listened because hurt people will continue hurting other people. So tell us,
Yes.
Dr. Linda, could you describe what that internal process was like? Because you definitely had to heal, have breakthroughs, make decisions that brought you forward. What was
Mhm.
that process?
Oh, I wish I could tell you the transformation was smooth. I felt like a train wreck most of the times because I now had to face emotions and deep things that I had buried. I had to face the bitterness, the unforgiveness towards my mother, members of my family, and on and on and on. I had to face the fact that I had covered my pain with performance because in all those homes that I went, when I was good, I was accepted. When I was did everything right, I was accepted. So I learned to perform, and so the transformation was pretty unsettling, but I had to go through because I knew I could not go back to that. I cried a lot. And I learned to welcome the tears because God told me they were part of my healing. And sometimes I didn't cry. My body cried itself because I would just be sitting there and tears will just shh, and they will flow and flow until they were finished, and then I would be fine, you know. So my transformation process was very very intense. I had to say, there are times I curled up in a fetal position and rolled all over the floor because of the tremendous depth of pain. But eventually, I accepted that um, who I who I had become, and I realized I was becoming just like my mother. So I had to start the process of forgiving and forgiving and forgiving because it really didn't stop until she died about 3 years ago. That trauma with her, it never stopped. Right. So
Mm,
I
mm.
learned and I leaned into the process. I embraced the pain. I didn't run from it. I journaled a whole lot. And so I um
Wow.
I work
Well,
the process. I work with the process.
I love how you say you embrace the pain. That's not an easy thing to do. And you had practices like journaling. Were there other people and God that helped you through this painful process?
Without question, my faith in and my relationship with Jesus Christ was the foundation. And my husband, who loved me, he loved the worst of me and he loved the best of me. He, he just He was my rock. He just stood there with me through the bad times and the good, and there were many, many bad times. But he kept saying, "You're a rose. You're gonna come out like a rose." I felt like a thorn bush at that time, but he kept speaking positively and affirmatively into my life. And eventually, you know, with the counseling and lots of prayer, lots of times with the Lord and journaling, eventually there were a few friends and and they allowed me to talk it out. I had to talk and talk and talk. Probably
Absolutely.
they got tired of me telling the story all the time, but it was my only way to get it out.
Hmm. Yes,
And I
indeed.
had to come to terms that it was not a one and done journey. It was a process for me. Some people have the one and done. I didn't.
Hmm. Right. No, I think many of us think because it's such a mountaintop experience, but then we do come back into the valley and those emotions come back. It's a cyclical evolution, this growing upward to our more becoming, right? And yet you remain spirit filled. You stay grounded in your faith
Yeah, I
and your
did.
ministry. And so, how are you using your experience to help others now?
Well, I one of the things I did, I educated myself so I can have a better understanding of what I've been through. I read a lot of books. My ebook full of books, my Kindle. I went in to get my doctorate in practical theology that talked about, you know, not just the theological aspects, but how to turn what the scriptures into ways of healing the soul and ministering to broken women. I did courses in trauma-informed coaching, narcissistic and emotional abuse, abuse trauma, and emotionally abused marriage, and professional life coaching. So I did a whole lot of training. And I stepped into my divine assignment to help women who were like me. I found them, and there were days, I would say to God, I'm meeting so many of these women. And he would say, so what are you going to do about it? And I said, well, I'm going to do such and such. He said, well, good. You just go right ahead. And I did. So I equip Christian women, faith-filled women, especially those who look strong on the outside, but silently struggle on the inside with unhealed emotional wounds, to help them rediscover their identity, because really and truly, their identity and who they really are never left them. It's circumstances that came along that marred the image in their minds and to others of who they really are. So I'm here to help them rediscover that and to rise and serve with clarity. So I created the signature program called Soul Survive H.E.R.S, H-E-R-S, and it's a pathway to lead women to not only survive but to thrive in their knowledge of their worth in Christ. And the H, as you shared earlier, is about healing, equipping, restoring to serve, so that they can walk in confidence and know that they are women of worth. Because what pain does, it strips you of your sense of self-worth. It strips you of your sense of self-esteem. You feel like nothing. You feel like garbage. And Christ died for us that we can have our worth restored. And so that is what I do. I guide women on this transformational journey using biblically grounded principles and truth and discipleship to become fully hers.
Oh, I love that. From being hers to being his. Oh, I
That's
love
right. I like that. I think I'll borrow that as well.
it's yours. You taught me so much just in this short time together. Now, I know somebody out there is wondering, I still feel a little bit stuck, or actually a lot stuck and in pain, maybe like your younger self. So, what's a message you could give them to help them move forward?
Right. Well, the fact that they're here is a testament of their resilience. And I think they need to celebrate that about themselves, because many people who've been through what they've been through did not survive. That's a fact. And some people, and so they need to realize that they are survivors. However, God is not done with them yet, and there's much more to their story, as the song goes. And then there's value in their experiences. I remember a minister saying to me that I'm in boot camp and that what I'm going through wasn't for me. I was so annoyed. But the truth is, what I was going through was not for me only, it was for other women. And here I am today as a testament. So I want to let them know what they're going through right now is only a transitional period. God has more for them and their story. Someone is waiting to hear their story as they are listening to mine as well. So their
Oh,
story is someone else's breakthrough. So they are not to give up in the journey of this transition through the pain. Don't give up.
okay.
If I had given up, I wouldn't be here today, because there are many days I wanted to just walk down to the ocean and keep on walking and never stop. I would drive my car on the highway and I would think, what if I just verge into the other lane, the oncoming traffic? I had all those thoughts, but I didn't give up, and so they shouldn't either.
Wow. Thank you so much. What a great story and what a tremendous, empowering message. Thank you so much, Dr. Linda, for
Thank
sharing your compassionate heart, your powerful and authentic story. Like I
thank
could
you.
listen to you all day long because you have modeled resilience, turning trauma into triumph. And your journey is surely a strong, amazing, bright beacon of hope and wisdom. Thank you so much, Dr. Linda.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
You're touching more lives than you know that.
Man, thank you.
Yes. Well, this has been another incredible conversation on the Rebirth Summit 2025 Stories of Unyielding Courage. I'm Katherine Sason, and it's been an honor to host this interview with the dynamic, courageous Dr. Linda P. Jones as part of this global movement for healing and transformation. And if you're feeling a little burnt out, don't forget your free gift, Rebirth from Burnout, because you just might be on the verge of your own rebirth. Well, stay tuned for more interviews from courageous speakers all around the world. Until next time, this is Rebirth TV signing off.